On this week's Nonsensible podcast.
And sometimes, like, sometimes when I say I'm a rapper, I like pull back a little bit. I'm like, I'm a rapper.
I've read about this.
But in English, they completely changed it to just be so not worth it. College experience, you got to go to the dorms and you got to go to the frat parties and
yeah, well, you can stay away from the frat parties.
This is Nonsensible.
We're back with the new episode of, I almost said Netflix. I don't know why.
This isn't on Netflix.
No, it's not on Netflix.
But it's just about everywhere else.
Yeah, everywhere else you can find a podcast. It is a new episode of Nonsensible with Sam.
Saul.
And we have a lovely guest with us today, Carson Allen, joining us today. Thank you.
Hey.
Thank you for having me. My first podcast.
Is it your
First ever?
Yeah, first ever.
Oh, really?
That's
wow.
awesome.
There we go. Congratulations.
I'm honored.
I'm honored. Thank you for having me.
Does that make you a little bit nervous then?
A little bit. I don't think I've ever just continuously talked for a long amount of time.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Are you a bit of a chatterbox by nature, or are you more conservative, more quiet?
I would definitely say I'm more of a listener. I like to listen to other people talk and just nod.
Yeah.
Okay. That doesn't really work on podcasts, but I'm sure we can make it work here. We can make it work one way or
It might
another.
work on ours. Sometimes we're known to talk a little bit too much.
Yeah, we can make it work.
Yeah.
You obviously listen to podcasts, I take it?
I do. I listen to a lot of commentary though, more than podcasts, just like YouTubers who just talk about their opinions for hours on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's crazy. There's a whole genre of that.
Yeah, and I love just even if I don't agree with someone's opinion, I just want to hear them why they think that way. And they just keep saying, oh, I disagree and blah, blah, blah. Even if I don't agree, I'm just like, oh, that's interesting.
And why are they always, quick question, if you watch those, why are they always sitting in their car? You know what I'm talking about?
What is this? Is this political commentary? What kind of, what's the genre? When I hear commentary, the two things that come to mind, sports commentary, political commentary.
Oh, that's not what I'm watching.
Yeah, what are you
Live
watching?
commentary? I don't
I watch a lot of commentary on shows that flop and why they think they flopped. And then also about kind of controversial people in the media or YouTubers who do scandal, things that pop up and I don't know, stuff about society and influencers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's just it's just, for example, a YouTuber's personal opinion on, for example, I guess we could say Meghan and Prince Harry, they had the interview with Oprah recently.
Yeah,
and
so I'll
they have a
watch
commentary on
somebody give their opinion on what they think of the whole thing.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I always see those, especially on Facebook, they used to pop up all the time, people sitting in their car and it's so, man, if y'all want to do this with your life, you got to do some things, but they have a ton of followers.
But these are an hour long. They'll just sit there and just talk and talk and talk for one person.
Yeah.
It's not not even a conversation. I could not do that.
Yeah. It's what she said. She's a listener.
Well, understandably, I'm
A talker.
but I could not do that myself.
Yeah.
Talk to a camera. Could you talk to a camera for an hour long?
No, but that's what I always think is so amazing about Dave, when Dave does his YouTube stuff. People can just sit in front of I feel so weird talking in front of a camera.
He doesn't do that.
Just a camera for
He
so long.
doesn't do it like that, though.
Look at his videos. He's by damn self.
He sits there and then he claps himself out. Then he claps himself. It's not he doesn't
yeah.
Yeah, because he probably has I'm going to edit. Yeah, I'm going to edit this. Whereas these people, there's minimal editing.
Yeah.
To no editing.
Yeah. If it's a one shot with no edit whatsoever, if they're just rambling for an hour of no edit, which means that makes life easy. If you don't have to edit the video, they just upload it as soon as they're finished. But you have to talk nonstop for an hour.
Yeah, it's intense. It gives me a panic attack just thinking about it.
You talked about people in cars. The only thing I think about...
Why are they all always in your cars?
But the only video that comes into my head of someone in a car was the woman with the Chewbacca mask. Did you ever see that one?
No, is that one of your?
I mean, that's just a viral video,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Oh.
Yeah.
Did you not see that?
No, what is that?
This woman, she went to like Walmart or something and bought this mask of Chewbacca and she thought it was like the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, well, she bought it for her son.
Oh,
but
was it
then-
for her
yeah,
son?
but then like she tried it on and just thought it was hysterical.
Because
Yeah.
it does the as soon as you open it and she's like they're giggling and thinks, yeah, she was just like giggling her ass off and like it went viral and it was on like the James Corden
And then like
show and-
everybody went to buy it and they were like sold out in
Yeah.
like every Walmart.
and she was all over like all the late night talk shows and whatnot for it.
Just for giggling?
the internet's a weird place.
Yeah.
Seriously, I mean, you can get famous for doing nothing these days.
Yeah.
It's life is amazing.
And you can work your ass off for years and not get that famous too, huh?
It is a weird world we are living in,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
So could you tell the people that don't know like what you do out here in Korea these days, Carson?
I work as an actress here in South Korea.
You sound like a
Is that your
TBS
actress
radio
voice?
person.
No, I'm uncomfortable.
It's 4 p.m. here in
I don't know
Seoul,
why
South
I have a
Korea.
hard time like talking about myself. I'm just like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't
Makes
know.
you feel weird. That's cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I think because people are like, oh, you're an actress. I don't know. People then start thinking it's something like,
Well, when your job is really cool,
yeah.
like what you're saying, sometimes it sounds like you're bragging. I'm a rapper, and sometimes like when I say
okay.
sometimes when I say I'm a rapper, I like pull back a little bit. I'm like I'm a rapper, and
No,
I don't know if I do that because I'm
Then
like
people are
35 and I'm a white
you know.
rapper, or if it's because like I don't want to seem like I'm being like I'm a mother rapper.
Mm.
I
I get that.
did the same thing. People ask me what you do for a living. I'm like, yeah, I work in film and television.
Yeah, you pull back a little bit.
And they're like, oh, yeah, so what do you do? And I'm like, yeah, work in front of camera. Like, I don't.
Win awards.
Yeah, I'm just like, I work in front of camera.
It's like the
I
cooler-
don't want to give a title.
The
I'm
cooler
like,
your job is, the more you have to pull back. You have to
I'm
be
like-
like, I'm a astronaut.
It's like, you tell, as soon as you put a title there, then people are like, oh, tell me more.
Yeah.
And tell me
Yeah.
more. Oh, really? That's amazing. And then you've got the other people that doubt you. And they're like, no, that's bull.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't believe you. And they're like, you're famous? And like, no, you're not. And then they want evidence. So it's,
Mhm.
yeah, I think it's just you learn to kind of be a little bit subtle with it and just kind of, yeah.
The other-
I don't want to make a big deal out of it.
Well,
Yeah.
it's a,
Yeah.
And everyone
it's-
will because it's cool,
Yeah.
right?
well, that's the thing. It's a job.
Mhm.
That's all it is.
It's a career.
It
pays my bills.
Exactly. It's no different to anyone else's job. It's just, it's like I've got friends that are plumbers and I look at that job and I'm like, that's cool because I don't do it every day. It's a cool job. If I had to do it every day, it'd probably be a boring job.
Well, it's damn sure cool if you take pride in it.
Well, I think any job's cool,
Yeah, if you take
And-
pride in it, right?
but it's like the grass is always greener on the other side. Like I have days in my job and I'm like, you know what? I really don't want to go on set today. I don't want to shoot today. I don't want to do this today. I don't want to do that job, full stop. And other people look at me like, you're crazy.
Yeah.
I'd love to
you're
be in
living
your
the
shoes.
dream, you know.
And it's like, well, walk a mile in my shoes and then you can appreciate it.
But
and
a
vice
bad
versa.
day for you or like me, like whatever it is for Carson as well, a bad day for you is a lot different than maybe a bad day for a plumber. You can have a really day for a
Well,
plumber.
if you're,
Yeah, hey,
yeah,
y'all are in the group chat. That was a,
if you're up to your knees in, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, each to their own. And like I said, if you're looking at it from a different perspective, everything else looks different.
yeah.
Everything else looks completely different.
I think the reason that if Carson walks in and says, "Oh, I'm an actor," people admire anybody who went out and like risked it all to become something that they're actually passionate about. There aren't that many actors who are like forced into acting, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe there is. Maybe there is.
I
But
mean, child actors sometimes, but
Yeah.
not really. At the end of the day,
it's a passion
Yeah.
job. It's a passionate career. So I think that when you have that kind of career, people look up to it so much that you're kind of like weird about calling yourself that. So that's why you might want to pull back.
So tell us a little bit about your background and your connection to, I mean, obviously based here in Korea, but being here and acting here in Korea is obviously not the most obvious choice.
Mhm.
I take from your accent, America.
America.
So
Are,
a lot
you
of-
from America?
Yes.
Where?
My family's from Oregon, Portland, Oregon. Like both my parents, all my relatives are all from Oregon.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
But I mean, I'm a military child, so I grew up abroad like my entire life.
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
So I can't really be like, oh, I'm from this part of the US. I can only just say where my family's from.
Okay.
Okay, if you're military, were you born in America?
Yeah. So I was born in Florida and then we moved to Texas and my sister was born. Then we spent some time in Colorado and then we actually moved to Japan.
Uh-huh.
Well,
For
so that was
about-
your first time living outside of America?
Yeah. But it's crazy because those, like the years that I was in Japan, that's really all my memories. Like before that, all in America, I don't remember anything of being a kid in the US. So I only have memories of like growing up in Japan.
That's crazy.
It's like my whole elementary school, we did 5 years in Japan. And then we were shortly in the US back in Florida. And then I came to Korea.
Were you in like an international school or were you with mostly Japanese kids?
I was actually homeschooled.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah.
So did you pick up any Japanese in Japan?
No. And that's like one of my biggest
I-
regrets is to my parents. I'm like, why didn't you just put me in like a Japanese kindergarten,
Yeah.
elementary
Mhm.
school thing?
So you could learn a little bit.
Yeah, but no, my mom was really passionate about like teaching us, and she really felt like this is a crazy opportunity to live abroad as like a child. So
Yeah.
she homeschooled us, and we literally were like field trips every day. We would go to museums, we would go to all of these like temples, we would go to like very cultural things, and we would, she would make us write little reports, and like it was fun, and she
That's
wanted to
cool.
like take advantage of this time instead of just putting us in a school.
Wow.
That would be. I can't imagine
It
what
sounds
that
kind of hippie, but I swear it's not.
I did.
No.
Hippie's cool.
But I can't imagine what it would be like having being American and having both your parents be American as well, but your first childhood memories growing up
It's
in,
being foreign.
yeah.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what that would be like.
It was interesting. And especially, I mean, that's like so long ago. There were like no, and I was actually living in Okinawa, the
Mhm.
island.
Yeah.
So it's even more kind of like a closed off, it's not like Tokyo or, And so I just remember even as a kid going to the playgrounds, anywhere I went, all the Japanese, kids would come up to me and be like, oh, hi, and try to like talk to me. And I just
Wow.
remember it being so like fun. Everything was
You loved
always-
it?
Yeah, even though I was like foreign, it was just so different,
Mm.
I always wondered what like kids here, foreigner kids here, feel about getting so much attention from Korean kids. But I guess when you're a kid, like you love attention.
Yeah,
right?
you always have a friend. Everybody's always like interested to like talk to you.
Yeah. My friend James's mom grew up in Okinawa too. And she said that she would just like run around and like play in caves and stuff. Like
Yeah.
it was she had the same kind of like magical
Oh my
experience
gosh.
growing up there as well.
Yeah, I mean, and it's so beautiful. My mom also was really into photography. So, I mean, we just have like boxes and boxes of like pictures from Okinawa, and
Whoa.
it's like magical. The beaches, the caves.
beautiful there,
Oh,
right?
it's beautiful.
Do you still have a strong connection to Japan then?
I mean, it's like a part of my like heart, it's like all my memories, growing up, it was like that age. I mean, we loved Sailor Moon, and Pokemon, and like my sister
Wow.
loved Dragon Ball Z. So all of those things, we could go to like a store and buy cards and action figures.
The real
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like we have like Japanese Pokemon cards. We've got like, you know what I mean? So for us, it was like
he's like bags.
my sister would murder
That's-
you for them.
I was
Yeah.
going to say right now,
probably sell those
that is
for a lot of
worth mad coin right
Yeah.
now.
So-
real Japanese
Yeah.
For
cards.
kids, it was like we lived in this just magical land of everything that we were enjoying was like a part of, our life.
How much will you sell me a Pokemon rookie card for?
I don't have them. My sister has them and she protects them with her life. So
Make sure that it's graded. You want to get it PSA 10.
I want that signed by
Yeah.
Pikachu himself.
Yeah, I don't know if he can get that signed. Good luck
Wow,
with
that's
that.
so cool. I heard that Okinawa has just beautiful food too.
yeah.
Like every meal you have is super colorful and people there are very healthy.
Yeah.
For a while, they said Okinawa had the most centenarians in the world. Most people to live to be 100.
I've never been to Okinawa. I've
Really?
heard great things about it though. Heard great things about it.
Yeah.
Definitely on the list of places to go.
Yeah, I want to go there as well.
I mean, it's a little different now. Like, I did go, I think in like 2014, and it was already very different than when I went. Because, tourism really like just boomed, recently there. Well, not recently. But when I went there, it was very like country kind of, people weren't really traveling there, but now they have a lot of hotels, a lot of resorts. So it's a little different than
Now,
what I remember.
if my memory serves me correct, Mr. Miyagi was from Okinawa.
Yeah?
I think so, actually.
Yeah. So, like recently, if you've been watching Cobra Kai, Daniel Caruso actually takes a trip back to Okinawa. And there has been some,
There's been some changes.
The village has disappeared and there's a shopping mall. And
And he's upset about it?
Absolutely. He's devastated.
I feel like that's
yeah.
how it's going to be when I move back if I ever go back to Yongin.
You probably won't recognize it. I mean,
Yeah.
Everland and yeah.
So if you went to Okinawa now, would you Gamdong?
Oh, yeah.
Would you
I'd probably
Gamdong?
cry.
get the waterworks going.
Would you
The
Gamdong?
waterworks going. I
Would
mean,
you cry?
Probably, yeah. I mean, but I have been there at least once since my childhood. But yeah, I just have such like pure memories there. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, and also it's like, I feel like, there was no real technology, like also just thinking about my childhood, like we would just run around in these farm fields and we would run around on the beaches and, it was just like a different time.
It's interesting you say that too, because I feel like I've been trying to figure out why it is. First time I went back to Yongin after like not being there for 2 years, I cried too. And I was like walking on this little path that I walked on my like day to work every day. And I think that was part of it. It was like it was innocent. It was like free. I was like, I just remembered those feelings of being so excited about the smallest things, So I wonder if it would be the same for you to go back.
Homeschool. I want to. No, I want to ask you about this because
It's not weird.
No.
But people have this like stigma with like homeschool
and
kids.
this is nothing to do with the stigma.
Okay.
I'm wondering what your experiences were of homeschool, because obviously from there you went into formal education.
Yeah, so I started going to school. I'm going to talk American system grades, but 7th grade. So that's like out of the 3 years of middle school, the second year is when I went to school for the first time. And that was actually here at the middle school here in Korea.
Now,
Oh, wow.
like that transition, I imagine it would have been quite a difficult stage. There's a lot of positives to being homeschooled. I imagine also just the relationship of the family. You'd have such a strong relationship, obviously, being together, all the time and whatnot. But you'd also lack some of the friendships that you'd have with being at school and whatnot. The transition that you're having there, education-wise, but also with friendships, what was that like for you?
I actually think it kind of shaped. I'm not somebody to have like a lot of friends. I'm very selective of friends, and I'm always like having a very small group of friends. And I think that kind of came from, even when I was homeschooled, we had other homeschool families that my mom would like approve of for us to be friends. You know what I mean? Like she kind of chose our friends. And so even when I went to school, I kind of found myself, being like, oh, who is a real friend? Who's a true friend? I didn't want to just like have all of these friends.
Yeah.
So
It can be overwhelming to have too many friends.
yeah, and I think I think that's a positive thing though, to kind of value more family and value like really true friends and like having a small circle of people.
And it seems like her reasoning behind wanting you to do homeschooling is cool. When you first said it, I was like, oh, was she like kind of scared about you being experiencing Japan? But it was actually because she wanted you to experience it and she wanted to kind of guide you through the experience. Right?
Well, I mean, one of the things with education, they say one of the best forms of education is actually travel. Now, when you're young and you're stuck in formal education, you don't get the opportunity to actually appreciate travel because you're doing it. The only time you get to travel is during vacation, summer vacation, when all the other kids at school are on vacation. So you're traveling with, all the other kids. You're trying to get in an airplane. You're trying to get accommodation with all the other families when prices are at a peak. So, I mean, it's not actually a bad idea. what Carson's mother did, you know, to homeschool and take that opportunity to actually appreciate the culture and see what was there.
And we did so many fun things. Like we would go to the beach and we would find all of these like seashells. And then my mom had bought all these like encyclopedias of seashells and like sea life. So then we would flip through it and try to find what seashell this is, what the name is, you know, how it like what family it belongs to.
Cool.
So it was like, you know, we were getting a good education.
She sounds like a good teacher.
Yeah, I mean, she loves kids. She actually, even after, so my parents, they had 3 daughters. And then when we kind of got older, my parents got married pretty early. They decided to have more kids. So there's like a huge gap in between my older sister, me, and my younger sister. And then I have 2 younger siblings of like 20 years in between.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's a 20-year age gap between
I believe it's my sister and my brother who have like a 20.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd have to do the math. But yeah, my mom was like, I want more kids. Like, I want to do that again with, I don't know, she loves kids.
That's so cool. How old was she? Is that a weird question?
amazing.
How old was she when she had the
kids,
newer
the
kids?
newer kid, the new family.
Yeah.
The second family.
I
The
think
new
my
little
mom
buddies.
was like
Part
40,
2.
46 or 45, 46.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's amazing. And that takes a lot of dedication.
Yeah.
Like at that stage of life and having raised 3 children,
Mm-hmm.
like my wife and myself, we had children kind of in our, like I was 40 when I had 39 when I had our first son. So she would have been like 41. And once you start hitting that age sort of point, it gets a lot more, when you hit your 40s, it gets a lot more difficult because your body starts deteriorating once you hit 40. And once you start having to pick up babies and kind of, you know, you have to bathe them and they want to, you know, they want you to kind of carry them on your shoulders and they want you to do certain things. And it's kind of like, my body ain't what it used
hurts.
to be.
Yeah.
My back hurts and my shoulder hurts and, you know, my knees are sore walking upstairs now. Yeah. Having done it once already and going for a second time around, that is definitely a determined woman who definitely loves her
She
family.
must. I really love kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So when you
Wow.
came back here, did you go to international school here, or did you just go to like Korean middle school?
So we did 5 years in Japan and then we did like a year and a half back in the US. And then we came here and we lived here as a family, I think for 6 years. So that was in 2008, I believe, until 2013.
And you lived like on the military base, or
Yeah, so I lived on Yongsan, the military
Wow.
base. And I went to middle school there and high school. And yeah.
One
That's where I
time I went there,
graduated.
the first time I went there, I bought a 40 because I hadn't had a 40. You know what a 40 is?
Yeah.
You know, the
a
big
beer.
can
Big
beer. Yeah, and you know, I felt like I was in Korea, so I was just kind of like, I was in a parking lot kind of area on base.
Oh, and did they tell
Drinking
you
a
you
40
can't
and
drink?
this dude in like a North Carolina accent.
MP.
Hey buddy, you can't be drinking that like that on the street. And I was
You
like,
see an MP?
what? Huh?
Military police?
Just somebody. No, he was just a regular guy. walking, and I was like, oh, I'm sorry. In Korea, it's kind of like okay as long as you're not like.
He's like, you're not in Kansas
you
anymore.
ain't in Korea anymore, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like
This is
that's
America.
That's like what I have to explain to people is like if you live on the base, it's like a sheltered America.
Yeah.
Like the rules, everything is like the American way, and we have the American grocery store. We have like so everything I was eating, everything I was doing on the base was
It's America.
it's American.
You can
yeah.
I go on base and get a hot pocket.
As soon as you walk on that base, even the air felt different.
Mm-hmm.
Like even like you breathe the air on there and you're like, this is American air.
America.
This is freedom.
It's like it felt completely different. The streets are different. Like everything about it feels completely different. They've got the movie theater. They've got the bowling alley.
Yeah.
They've got like
Baseball
McDonald's,
fields,
Popeyes.
you know.
Yeah, the football fields, the middle school.
What's that? Do y'all smell
station.
liberty?
The PX, the
Yeah.
barber shop, everything
Yeah.
you could imagine on that military base
Even
there.
the hospital, it was really weird, after I couldn't go to the hospital on the base anymore, to go to a Korean hospital because it was just like my entire life, even though I lived in Korea for so many years, I'd never been to a Korean hospital or like a Korean clinic.
Even I even remember going to the Dragon Hill Hotel.
Mhm.
Even in there, they had the poker machines, like the slot machines.
Yeah.
They had it all. They had everything in there.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you went to school on the base too?
Mm-hmm. Middle school, and then I graduated from high school there as well.
On the base.
Yeah.
What was it?
but you-
Seoul
So I
High-
had, like,
Seoul
an
High
American-
School, Seoul High School Eagles.
What was your school's
Is that
No,
right?
we were
mascot?
Falcons.
Falcons,
Okay, I
sorry.
was like,
Falcons.
wait, that didn't sound right.
Seoul
but I
High
could,
School, right?
Seoul American High
American-
School. SAWS.
You know
So
the
like
falcon is the fastest animal in the world?
What happened to the cheetah?
It's not as fast as a goddamn falcon.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, no. So I had like an American graduation. Go Falcons.
Yeah.
Blue
So-
and white.
So, but your Korean's good, right? Your Korean's great, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty fluent.
How did you learn Korean if you were on the base all the time?
So at the school, you could take like as your language choice. Like, of course, you could do Spanish, or I even did Chinese, but I also did like Korean. So that's where I learned the alphabet. We learned, all the greetings and easy stuff. But I mean, it really came. It's an American school, but everybody it's like 50% Americans, but really like a lot of Koreans at the school as well.
So
Or
you had
like-
Korean friends and you spoke Korean with them
or
at
like
school?
Korean Americans. Like all my friends were like Korean American, or they were half Korean, half American. So like my best friend from middle school, like Sam, I would go to her house and her mom would just only be talking in Korean.
Mm-hmm.
So cool.
So I was like listening and hearing Korean like all the time.
Wow. That's so great.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really really lucky. I mean, I feel like I was able to learn a language kind of more, not as like stressful, because I feel like people, when they learn a language, it's very like study oriented, where I was just having fun with my friends. And, I had a lot of friends that were into K-pop, and my friend introduced me to Super Junior at the time. When I was like in middle school. Super Junior was like gods.
Yeah.
So it was fun.
So cool.
And then from there, your parents moved back to the States,
Yeah, in 2013.
and you moved back with them.
I did. Actually, my parents really didn't want me to go to university here. They really especially my dad, he was just so set on like, you gotta have that American college experience. You gotta go to the dorms and you gotta go to the frat parties. And
Yeah. Well, you
You
could
know?
stay away from the frat parties.
he just wanted me to
The dorms, okay. But
he wanted me to experience that all American college.
did he really enjoy that experience himself?
Yeah. He really enjoyed it. And he also ended up being an ROTC professor at a university as well.
Cool.
And so I think he just really wanted me to not miss out on that opportunity.
Did you care one way or the other?
Obviously not.
You kind of didn't want to go?
I didn't know. I mean, yeah, I'd never really lived in the US. I'd only been to visit like my grandma and my aunt. And so it was kind of scary. Like, I know that sounds weird, but I was like, America, I've never really lived there. I don't know if I'll feel comfortable. I don't know. I've just always had so many like international experiences that I was like, to go to America, I don't know.
It's a big move. My dad was the same. He had a weird relationship with his family. So I think that when he like left and went to university, that was his first time where he really could take control of his life and get out from under a weird situation at home that he wasn't always the happiest kid at home. So I wonder if that's sort of why maybe your dad had like the same sort of thing. Like that was the best time of his life. So he assumed that would be the best time in yours, but you already had a great thing going on because your family was.
I think you've also got the mass media that portrays, especially American university,
Because it's a business.
especially as opposed to a lot of other tertiary education in other countries around the world. You have schools in America, the college system in particular, where you have a very strong. You have that school pride. That a lot of other universities, in Australia, we don't have a school pride. You go to university, you go to study. Once your classes are over, everyone goes home.
Or
people
not
don't-
home.
No. Well, but
To
people
the pub, right?
Yeah, but I found that I generally didn't socialize with friends from university. I'd socialize with my friends from high school. Like university it was business. I'd go there for study, and once study was over, I'm gone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it wasn't developing particularly, great relationships.
You're supposed to, in America, they push it as like, this is where you're going to meet the people that are going to change the course of your career later on in life.
Yeah, and that's I think it feels quite different, and that's like even as an Australian, like I would have loved the opportunity to go to college in America.
We can do it.
Like,
let's make a TV show out of it. Let's get out of here.
I'd love to. Like the whole sport, like just the whole sporting, that pride you have.
Yeah,
for
to do
sports
tailgating.
Yeah.
And, like my
Yeah.
dad was like pushing me to go to the football games and to like, do all these things. And I was just so awkward.
Well, it's
I
like
want to be your
it's-
dad's friend. He sounds
but
cool.
it's like it's just even like you see people and have like it's like University of Illinois, and they'll even after they've graduated,
Oh my gosh, my grandma still sends me university stuff from the university that my dad went to.
Yeah. Like that is in Australia, that's unheard of. I don't even know if my university sells that kind of stuff.
You don't even remember the name of your
No, I
university.
do. Yeah, Swinburne University of Technology. But they don't have any cool kind of merchandise.
Yeah.
Like it's like UNC.
That's where you went, right?
No.
No.
That's what this says. This says she went to UNC.
It says I went to UNC.
University of North Carolina.
I went to NC State.
It says University in North Carolina.
No, I would say
I'm from Chapel Hill.
You are.
Yeah.
that was that's where I was referencing that. Like North
UNC.
Carolina, yeah.
Well, I mean, that's
UNC.
because of Michael
So,
Jordan.
Yeah, but so for example, UNC, like guys in Australia who've never been to America will wear UNC gear
of Michael
because Michael
Jordan.
Jordan went
Even
there.
I
Like
see
it's
Koreans
cool.
wearing like Harvard. It's
Yeah.
like just fashion.
Yeah, as
Yeah.
fashion. But like if I could definitely understand where your father's coming from. In retrospect, are you glad that you had the American university experience?
Oh, I mean, I went one semester at the university.
You only went to one semester.
Yeah, in the United, like in the NC
In the United
State.
States of America.
in the United States, in the United States of America. So the thing is I had no argument against my father, and
Yeah.
he knew that. He kept saying his main argument was, "You can't say you don't like something you haven't tried."
Yep,
And
great
I
argument.
was like, "What am I supposed to say?" I haven't lived in America. I haven't experienced the college there. So who am I to say that I'm going to hate it? So I went. I hated it.
You hated it?
And then I was able to be like, I did it. I tried it. I hated it. Bye.
And you went to NC State?
Yeah, I went to NC State because that's where my father was a professor for
Whoa,
ROTC.
crazy.
One semester.
One semester.
Then what happened from there?
Then I bought a plane ticket and I came back to Korea on my own. But the thing was, my parents were like, if that's what you want to do, you're cut off. Like we're not gonna like support you financially. So you kind of have to figure it out.
Were they in Korea?
No, we had all moved in 2013 back to the States for my dad to do that job in North Carolina. So we all moved there, and my dad really wanted me to go, to NC State with him and be what were we? I think Wolf or something.
Wolf.
And people were doing
Is it the
this
Wolf?
or something?
NC,
I think so.
the
Yeah,
Wolfpack?
Wolfpack. Yes,
Wolfpack, yeah.
yes, yeah. So I did all of that, and then I was able to have my own argument and be like, I don't like this, and I'm gonna do my own thing. So my parents were like, that's cool, but
Well, you must have really hated it. You were like, I don't need y'all's money.
Wow. That was so it was kind of like, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was just because it was North Carolina, like nothing against people from North Carolina, but
I got a North Carolina tattoo right here.
oh, I don't know if I had gone somewhere else, if I had gone to California or New York or somewhere, I don't know, that's more, because I grew up in the city.
You grew up in the city.
I did all of my teenage years, high school, everything, living in a city and going back and trying to live in a town where everybody that I was meeting, especially at the university, they were like born there, never left there.
Yeah.
Their whole entire family's there. And I didn't relate to anybody I met.
Everyone wants, like I went to Chapel Hill High School and no matter how good your grades were, like you had to be at the top of the top to get into like UNC or NC State because everyone just wanted to like stay around
there, yeah.
North Carolina because we have this idea just that our like universities are amongst the best in the world. And
is that not also because you get a discount for staying in state?
Probably that too.
Yeah,
it's like
but
half
I mean,
the price.
you can't. It's very difficult to get in, you know. But yeah, people love North Carolina. They want to stay, I guess. But I'm glad I moved away and got to see a bigger city too.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you're in a city like Seoul, you can get in 15 minutes, you can be in a whole nother world. You know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah.
The difference between like Gangnam and Uljiro and all that stuff. But in North Carolina, 15 minutes, you're just like still in the same
area.
suburb. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Everything's so spread out.
It was kind of just hard to adapt to not really, because I also didn't have a car and I had a driver's permit is what as far as I got. And I just felt like I tried to like do public transportation and it was like,
sucks.
Oh, it was horrible. It was scary too. It was really scary. And I just felt like I couldn't be independent anymore. And being in high school, I was so independent in this city. Yeah. And my parents felt like Korea and Seoul was so safe that they let me literally go on trips and do like everything.
8-year-olds in Korea walk around by themselves. Like, you know, it's wild. No one does that in America. 7-year-olds just like walking from like school to school, wearing their little backpack. No one's robbing them.
I still remember my first experience of realizing that I had a very naive mindset is I tried to join some like school club at the university. And I remember it like finished at like 7:30 or around 8 p.m. And my friend was like, oh, like, you know, how are you getting home? And I was like, oh, my mom's going to pick me up. I'll just like text her now. And she's like, oh, well, when will she come? And I was like, maybe in like 35, 40 minutes. I'll just wait for her outside. And the girl was like, excuse me, you're just going to like wait by yourself on campus it's like almost 8 p.m. And I was like, yeah, I think it's fine. Is it fine? And she was like, no, I'll wait with you. And I was like, okay. You know, I was like very like, not really, I wasn't aware of like the dangers because I'd grown up in such a kind of, I guess, sheltered, very like safe area. And I was like, oh, okay.
Wow. I guess it is, I guess we don't really appreciate it when we live in a city like Seoul that it is so safe.
It really is.
You know, when you go back home and you kind of, you realize walking down the street at certain hours of the evening or, you know, like even in Australia, you don't walk through parks in the middle of the night. You know, it's just shortcuts. You don't go through dark alleys or whatnot for a shortcut. You stay on the main streets that are lit because you don't know who's going to be down a dark street or in a dark park. And that's just like growing up, that was what we were taught. It's the same as, like you said, a 7 or 8 year old child here in Korea, they can walk themselves to school in the morning. They look like
little adults here in the morning. Just walking
growing up, that was unheard of. It's like you walk to school with an adult, and there are certain things you're taught as a child that you don't talk to strangers. And I find that the safety here is you're a lot safer here, so it's kind of those issues don't exist as much. So I find you kind of once you get out of this pocket of safety, you kind of sometimes you let your guard down a little bit too much.
Yeah. So when you came back to Korea, is that where you started your whole career as an actress?
Well, originally I was just like a university student. So I applied to like 2 or 3 universities and I ended up going to Yonsei University. And I mean, throughout high school, I actually did like a few different like modeling jobs. Like I had a bunch of contacts for like agencies. A lot of the girls in my high school were like doing big like Samsung commercials and like big. And so I had like little connections here and there. And I think in 2016 is when I had like my first audition for something, for like a role in a Korean drama. So, I mean, I'm a theater kid. So like I grew up, like I've always like I always told my parents, I'm going to be an actress. Like that's my thing. So, I mean, I always had like a passion and a thing for acting, but I honestly never really thought that I would do it in Korea or that I would even do it as like a serious thing. And so once I had that audition in 2016, it kind of was like, and I actually got the part. I was like, oh, I might actually be able to like pursue this and pursue it here and kind of seriously. So after that, it just kind of like progressed, I guess.
What other shows might people have seen you in?
Probably. So I mean, I've had like small roles here and there. I guess like for Koreans, like especially like middle school Korean, like girls and boys, they really like the series Voice.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like the Korean CSI kind of criminal minds, you know. So I played a role as one of the detectives' wives who was also living a secret life. I actually were like kidnapping babies and selling them on the black market.
You were?
Yeah, it was an interesting.
You get some really interesting roles.
Any role you play in a Korean drama is going to be out there.
Yeah.
Wow.
So a lot of like Korean middle schoolers, they love that show.
So do you have middle schoolers like walking up to you?
Oh my God. When that show was like on TV, I was like stopped in the streets by all of these groups of like little kids.
And
like,
they're all by themselves, no adults to be found.
and they're like screaming, you know, and I was always like, oh my God. You know?
And their parents aren't around, so they're not going to tell you, like, hey, leave her alone. They're just kids. They're just by them damn selves.
Yeah. And probably like the most successful production that I was ever like so honored to be like a part of was When the Camellia Blooms, which was also offered on Netflix. So a lot of people were able to like see it and really enjoy. I mean, it's an amazing drama.
And that's where you were like, you worked at like a kanjang, kejang kind of
Yes,
place?
I was like the part-time worker at 고두심 선생님's like, what do you call it? Crab?
Kanjang, kejang?
Marinated crab shop.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, for people who don't know what kanjang, kejang is, right? It's
It's
like
where you slurp.
raw.
Yeah.
It's like raw crab
that's
that-
been marinated in soy sauce.
And you got to slurp it out of the shell of the crab.
And it's known as papdoduk because you eat so much damn rice because it's so good with the rice.
It
and
is.
everything inside.
It is. For the uninitiated, it does sound quite. It doesn't sound that appeasing because
Appealing.
raw crab. It's kind of like.
But it's so flavorful.
But
'cause-
it is delicious. Like once you try it, and you're initially like, I can't eat that. And you're like, try it. Once you try it, you're like, oh my God.
At the good ones,
Yeah.
it's
amazing.
really good.
Yeah.
Some of them are sketchy. Like some of the like Mujehan refill ones are.
Yeah, because they've had it there for probably, 2 or 3 days and it's kind of like just on
Oh.
the edge of like, yeah,
Yeah.
leave it too long. It kind of, yeah.
So I think now that we've gotten into, that was like her first big role, we could get into talking about how that changed her life in the next episode. What do you guys think?
Absolutely.
That sound good,
Absolutely. That was a nice segue. I
Like
liked
that.
how you
that
did
was that was real smooth.
Let's start talking. Let's hear more about When the Camellia Blooms on next week's episode of Nonsensible.
Well, before we go there, I would like to give you this opportunity. If there is anything you would like to plug right now, is the time.
Ooh, I have an Instagram,
Mhm.
and that's the only thing I really use for like social media. So yeah, if you guys want to like follow me, and I love to do like Q&As and stuff on my Instagram. So it's just my name, Carson Allen, on
Mhm.
Instagram.
And have you got any projects that are coming up
Projects.
in the near future? Any-
Yes, so I actually finished a project last year, and
Mhm.
it's going to be a Netflix original series coming
Ooh.
out this summer.
Nice.
Yeah.
In Korea or worldwide?
So because it's a Netflix original series, it will be like every single country with Netflix, they will have it with subtitles or dubbing.
Congratulations on
it'll release in Korea first and then go.
No, Netflix usually Yeah, all at once.
Oh,
and they
really?
dump it. So it's like not like we'll get an episode a week. They dump the entire.
that. So we can binge that
Yeah.
thing.
Oh wow!
Nice. Congratulations. That's big.
Can you tell us the title, or is that still under wraps?
It's like in Korean and English, they have like a completely different name. So in Korean, it's called 내일 지구가 망해버렸으면 좋겠어. But
I've read about this.
Yeah.
I've read about this.
But in English, they completely changed it to just be so not worth it.
I'd like that name too, though.
Yeah, it was
so
just kind of different.
this is the one that's got Hanyamin in it, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
we're an 8 cast. So
It's
there's
like-
8 main characters, and we're all like friends in university.
Like in a dormitory.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I've read
Great.
about this. It's like one of the top upcoming Netflix originals out of Korea that people are talking about at the moment.
Yeah.
I
Congrats.
didn't
That's so
know
great.
that. Okay.
Yeah, definitely worth looking out for.
Nice. Congratulations. That's
Thank
great.
you. I'm
news.
excited. I hope everybody, it's a comedy. So I feel like, as long as everybody's laughing and having a good time watching it, that just like warms my heart.
Nice.
Awesome.
So we'll get into a little bit more about When the Camellia Blooms on the next episode, and we'll talk more about this Netflix thing coming up.
Yes, Carson.
Oh, we didn't get the English name of the Netflix show. Oh,
so not worth it.
So
we
not
did
worth
because
it.
it was just not
And
worth
you said
it.
you loved it.
I liked it. Yeah. Sorry. I just wanted to
Jeez,
make sure.
dude. Come on.
I remember that before that she didn't say it the first time.
All right.
I wanted to make sure she got the plug in.
Okay.
Carson, thank you for
So not
joining us
worth it.
today.
Thank you for having me.
If you want to watch the podcast in its entirety, you can find us on YouTube at The Dive Studios. You can also find us on Instagram at The Dive Studios. Don't forget, you can listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, where you can leave us a review. We appreciate the reviews that have 5 stars. You can also find us on Spotify podcasts as well. I believe that's all the
Carson Allen,
information
thanks
I
for
have
coming
for
through.
us.
We'll
Thank
see
you
you
for
next
having
week.
me.
Yeah, Carson, thank you very much. See you next time.
See you next time.
Bye-bye. Bye, guys.
Oh, did you like that? There's plenty more where that came from. Subscribe.
Smash that like button.
Turn on notifications so you don't miss any more content.